Hello YouTube, my name is Amisbro, and this is episode 44 of the anime review series on this here humble YouTube channel. And tonight, we are looking at our first anime for 2017 and our first idol anime for 2017. We are taking a look at Tsukiuta the animation. And I'm going to tell you right now, by the way, this is licensed by Funimation. I'm going to tell you right now, this anime is a very interesting one to talk about. It's an interesting one to talk about because it is an idol anime. But it focuses less on the music and more on the personal lives. Do you get what I'm saying? Well, let me explain. So, we have two units that are focused on in this series. One group is called Six Gravity, or Gravity for short, and then Procellarum, or Procella. And the two groups live in Tsukino dorms together. Well, here's what's interesting, okay? The Tsukino dorms belong to the Tsukino Talent Agency, or Talent Productions. Now, this sounds like a fictional company, and in one respect it is. However, what if I told you that in the grand scheme of things, these are only two of 15 or so groups? I don't know the exact number, but I think I heard it was like 15. Something ridiculous like that. And that's impressive in its own right, considering that as far as the way it's actually handled, in order to be able to be in the agency or the production company, you have to audition to play a character role for one of the groups. And if you go on one of the website, if you go on the official website, which I believe is Tsuki-pro.com, but I'll have to double check that and I'll put it in the description. You will find that they have a very impressive cast list and a very impressive roster of groups and even solo artists. Very much impressive. So it kind of makes you hope that they're going to do more with all of them. And I believe when they do Tsuki Pro, it's going to have 4 groups, one of them being a group that I've become very fond of called Growth, which actually features, for Udapri fans, Daiki Yamashita. He played Shion Amakusa, a member of Heavens, in this past season. So, what is the actual story for the anime? This is the weirdest thing. Okay, there is no set overarching. Well, that's a partial lie. I would be lying if they said there's not one general arc, but if you're looking for like overall angst and drama, it doesn't happen here. The stories are, for the most part, in the anime, kept very light and very group/family oriented. What I mean is, if you've ever watched, like, say, and I have to use it for comparison, and I got criticized for this, trust me. If you use, say, Udapri is a very idol-focused, when I say this specifically, idol composer focus for the series, and it's became pretty much a formula. You know, idol A would get his assignment from the president, who was Shining, and then he would potentially go into a crisis or a conflict, and then the composer would make the song for them. Here it's a bit different. Here, there is no female MC character. There are female idols that you do meet in episode 8, but they're less of a focus, although their episode is kind of slapstick, which is good. It's, put it this way, if you like absurdity to a degree, yeah, you're going to get plenty of it when you get to that episode. But for the most part, the episodes talk about things that happened in the lives of the idols. Sometimes it focuses on one, sometimes it focuses on two, and occasionally it'll focus on all of them. The only one who doesn't get a focus episode for the most part is, say, Shun, who's literally called the Demon King. Why is he called that? Well, I found out, but I'm going to let you find out for yourself if you happen to watch this series. But it's a very interesting thing to see the way the groups interact with one another. You see, again, I have to make the comparison to Udapre. In Udapre, we had, at times, a rivalry, a conflict that went on between Starish, Quartet Knight, and even Heavens, right? Here, we've got two main groups. We've got Gravity, Six Gravity, and Procellarum. Well, they don't fight each other. If anything, they'll go into each other's dorms and maybe help out with the cooking or the cleaning or something, whatever the case, whatever the situation calls for. If you watch episode 11, I believe it is. Yeah, it is episode 11. There's a screen cap. There's a particular scene, and I have the screen cap, that encapsulates the entirety of the series in that one moment. Okay? And if you don't understand up till then what they go for with this series, then this pretty much drives it home. And if you don't get it then, it's completely lost on you. That is if you haven't checked out by that point. Because see, I would expect that some people would watch this particular series and potentially get bored with it. That's alright, and that happens. However, what you find is a very, for the most part, calming and relaxing anime that you can watch for 13 episodes and, as I like to call it, unplug yourself from the real world and just get lost in the idol world. Just get lost in the fact that here's 12 idols, more than that if you include the other two groups, but the 12 main idols, the two main groups, look out for each other in ways that I really cannot explain to you. You have to see it. Because the idea of two groups living under the same roof and getting along, if you want to be really honest, up till I saw this series, I thought it was a completely foreign concept. When I had it explained to me by a friend, my mind was blown. I was like, wait a minute, two groups got along, living under the same roof, didn't fight each other? The heck is this sorcery? But it really happens. It's like you don't really understand it, and I can't verbalize it to you in a way that will probably make sense to you. And keep in mind, this is just one aspect of the story. Or just one aspect of the series, because there's also the animation, which is spot on, even when they do the CG, check this out. Okay, the openings for the episodes are alternated between the two main groups. You have Procella has a main song, and you have Ravi that has an open. So they do the songs, and when they do the songs together, when they do the songs, like I said, it alternates. They actually don't start doing the opens until episode 3. The first 2 episodes literally have no open, and they don't have the open for the final episode either. So there's like 9 episodes. There's like 10 episodes that actually alternate the opens between the two groups. The final episode, and this is where it gets interesting, as much as this is an idol anime, and they do have the idol focus, it's not really about the solo songs. The solo songs are actually the end songs of every episode. And since there's 13 episodes, 12 of them are specifically focused on the solo artists. And if you pay attention, when you do get to the final episode, they do a solo medley. They literally treat the 13th episode like it's a full-blown feature-length concert for the most part. Well, okay, it's 20-some minutes, but you get the idea. But they do it like you would say be watching a Yuta Priest stage with the talk segments. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's just so interesting. And like I said, animation-wise, spot on. Especially when they do the group songs, because they use CG. Now, I'm going to defend this for anybody that has been against the idea. You have 2 options when you do group songs, especially if there's any form of dancing involved. You can use CG, or you can potentially try to animate every single dance step, knowing your deadline for every episode, and have it look like complete trash. Potentially. There's probably a way to do it really good. My point is that if they try to use CG, which this series and Udapri did, it's probably because the dance steps were so intensive and so complicated that they didn't want to try to draw them. And that's perfectly acceptable. Because when they did Udapri, they had to do 3 different groups. They weren't going to draw it all, so they did the CG effect. Totally fine. I bring that up because they had to do it here with the 2 groups when they did the group songs, and when they did the big group song at the end. So anybody that criticizes that, you have to understand why they did it. And trust me, it's just as hard, if not harder, to do CG as it is to animate. It just is. Try to tell me otherwise, please. The emotional connection to the characters is there because of the way they will focus on characters. But what else has also been interesting is, while yes, when it comes to idol groups and idol animes, their main focus, both in animes and the real world, are female audiences, the first episode shows something which is quite unique, at least to me. It shows that a young boy who had to go to do a handshake, and I'll go ahead and tell you about this, had to go do a handshake event for his sister. Well, he was supposed to go meet one of the idols. I won't tell you which one, but he had to go meet one of them. Here's the thing. The members of the group in question that he ran into didn't think he was weird at all. At all. Like, that's the one thing that blew my mind, because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, idol animes and otomes have been geared towards a female audience. Well, Unipre has started to, as I've talked before, start to cultivate a male fan base. This series has shown they have no issue with having male fans. Now, yes, people will say this is different than Unipre. You're right. It is in every sense of the word. Not just the way they wrote the story, but with the way and the way they focused it, but with other things they did. It is completely different. So, yes, people are right to say that wholeheartedly. But if you want to do the compare and contrast, it's perfectly acceptable, because you have a situation where you have two groups that are the focus in one, and three really with one real big main in another. And the way that the shows are wrote, you sit there and you think to yourself, okay, how do you rate this? Well, they figured out a way to do it and give both groups equal amount of time in Tsukiuta. And that was something that blew my mind. Legitimate. Blew it out of the water. Because when you see the way they treat both groups, they're respectful to each other, they help each other out, everything. And you see the way they come together like a family in every respect possible. It is the most pure, the most mind-blowing thing you will see in the idol anime genre. Because I have not seen this happen, realistically speaking. Now, you could say Shonen Hollywood. Okay, and you know what? When I do my re-review for Tumblr, I'm going to reevaluate the way I approach that, because I was coming from Unipre to that. And I was harsher on that than I should have been, because I was thinking one thing and got another. Here, because I already knew what I was getting into, I was ready to be prepared for what I got. The way they did the character development, the way they did the story progression, which, okay, the main story arc is to get to something called the Full Moon Festival. Okay? You start in episode 1 and they talk about it as a joint concert. And then you get all the way to episode 13 and they actually do the concert. And it's a full-blown, like I said, well, for 20 minutes, it's a full-blown concert. And it's one of the coolest things you ever see. Now, if somebody asks me the following question. Alright, Josh, who is your, which open did you prefer more? Did you prefer Procella? Did you prefer Gravity? Here's the answer to that. This is going to drive you nuts. Procella. Hold on. Well, why did I say it's going to drive you nuts? Because if you ask me group-wise, my preference, that's Gravity. Six Gravity. There's something about Procella's song Open that I liked a lot. Loved it. Can't get enough of it. But for some reason, if I look at groups, I look at Gravity and I go, I really like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really like you. And it's the damnedest thing you'll ever hear a person say, but it's the God honest truth. I really, really love the chemistry Six Gravity had. Not saying that Procella didn't have it, because they did, clearly. But if you make me pick one, if you say I have to pick one, Six Gravity all day. Now, I don't usually put this in a review, but if somebody says to me, alright Josh, we know you're a self-insert or self-shipper, you have to tell us who your self-ship is. Alright, really? I'll do this on camera for you, just because, what the hell. So if somebody asks me, I don't just have one. Well, I have one, but it's one of each. For Gravy, that'll be Haru Yayoi. And I admit that part of that reason is because I have a Tomiyagi Meino bias like a mother. I'm just going to admit that right here, right now. Now, if you want to know who my preference is for Procella, that's a fun one. Let's go with the Demon King. Yep. We're going with Shun. And if you wonder why he's called the Demon King, you have to watch to find out, because let's just say he is literally otherworldly. Okay? Oh, I should mention also, he is voiced by Ryohei Kimura. So, if you wonder why, there's a bit of a Kimura bias there. I admit. But no, in all sincerity, I love his character. And it is easy to get invested, but here's like the weird thing. Even though a lot of stories are individually, you get invested in how the groups work to sometimes solve a problem that one member has. It's the most brilliant thing you'll ever see in your life. I promise. And with that, now I have to give you do I recommend this anime, or do you pass on it? I wholeheartedly recommend it. If you want to watch an anime, and you just want to basically unplug for like 13 episodes, by God, check this one out. Be warned of one thing. You may find yourself, after this is all said and done, buying a whole lot of CDs from this series, because it is just that damn good. I promise you. Anyway, you all have a splendid night, and I will talk to you in the next review. Now, the next one will either be the following. I don't know for sure yet. Dream Festival, the first season, because there's a second season coming up. Storm You, because there's a second season. Or the 2 seasons of Bungo Stray Dogs, which you will get the season 1 and 2 review. The season 1 review will be on my Tumblr. But you all have a splendid night, and I will talk to you all in that next review, which will be episode 45. Whew. We're probably going to have like close to 100 by the time this is over. You all have a good one. I will talk to you later on. Take care, my friends. Bye bye.